All right. Well, thank you very much for sharing your comments with us. What we're going to do now is we're going to get into project highlights, and we'll start talking about different types of projects, like as they're in the works and in various stages of implementation. And we'll hear from the people who are working on the projects too. After that, we'll come back together again for a brief introduction to a really cool way for us to facilitate some smaller groups, and then we'll get down to some planning and hopefully get some ideas out of you guys. So with that, I'm going to hand the proverbial mic off to Katie Kauzlarich.
Thanks, Erin. So, hi everybody. My name is Katie Kauzlarich. I am the Illinois State Coordinator for Pheasants Forever and Quail Forever. Started this whole initiative, I can't believe it was 4 years ago, because I remember that meeting where we at PF were throwing around ideas and seeing what it's morphed into. This is really a cool thing to see grow from the beginning of somebody making an offhanded comment to we got 90 people already in a room and projects coming in the door to get them on, which luckily we, talk is great. But until we get the habitat on the ground, it's just talk, and it's only helping the monarchs so far. So luckily we have had several projects that have already started. We're going to highlight a few of them. They're in various phases, from prep, deciding is going to actually having seed in the ground and having a couple growing seasons under them. So the first project we were going to talk about is already been mentioned a little bit. Is Glenn or Mike, if you guys could unmute your mics, if you guys could give us just a little 3-minute quick overview about the Litchfield Prairie and the project that we've got going down in Southern Illinois. We'd love to hear from you.
Well, it's really not Southern Illinois. It's more kind of central Litchfield, Illinois. I think we got started in this a few years ago, and Glenn approached me and Stephanie approached me about doing a parking lot in that area, and basically left it up to Glenn and Henry and Dave to come up with the concept. And I was fortunate enough to, pay for it and put in a nice parking lot, walking path, and an observation pad. I don't know if Glenn's on. He wants to share anything.
Just to back up right quick, that, ladies and gentlemen, was Mike Stabb talking to you. He is our District 6 roadside manager at IDOT, which means he is the person that you can send a quick shout out to every time you're driving down a major roadway in District 6, which is about Springfield south to about Madison County. He maintains the roads up there and the beautiful, beautiful patches of Indian grass that we have on I-55. And Glenn is on. I have seen him and his typing, so.
So yeah.
Hello all, that is me. And welcome all. Hi, Mike.
Hi, Glenn.
Nice to meet with everyone. That's my haiku on there. Caterpillars feast, generations migrate, and flowers can bear seed. So that's my contribution. Natural Area Guardians in Montgomery County are composed of 7 or so dedicated volunteers who've been husbanding this site, and we have established more than 100 species at that area at the way station. I think our official name of the Route 66 site is Route 66 Prairie at Litchfield Way Station. So we're just 2 miles north of Litchfield on Frontage Road. We work with that frequently. We've been reconstructing and are in the reconstructing phase to replant the area that was disturbed by construction. And we're just enjoying ourselves thoroughly. I hope that Henry and Ken are on here because they are key to this effort. They are our scientists.
And so we've got a lot of cool things going on with the Litchfield. I mean, I've came into this in the backdrop. So we've been seeing a lot of things about education. We're working on some signage to go out there so we can educate the public more. We're looking to get those in by the end of next year. We're wanting to make sure we've got them all formulated and right. So we've been working on that now, but looking to turn that into a great tourist attraction to just, you know, get more people not only on Route 66, but learning about conservation. So any last minute things to share about that, Glenn or Mike, before we move on?
I think it looks pretty good. Was very leery about it, but I think it turned out pretty well.
Can I add a quick note to that?
Yep.
Okay, so this project is our southern anchor point to the Route 66 project. And while yes, the route does continue, it just happens to be our anchor point because we have an existing project there. You'll hear a bit about Midewin, that's north of the northern anchor to it. One of the cool things about the Litchfield project is that the town of Litchfield is quite supportive of it. And there is a Route 66 museum in Litchfield as well, who's also extremely supportive of this. We've had several meetings at the Route 66 museum, and the whole intention is to create synergy between there and the prairie. And so we built the parking lot based off of the fact that tour buses come to the museum. And so there will eventually be signage up at either location directing folks back towards the other place. And then we'll have signage up through the prairie as well that will communicate about the work that's gone on there, what exactly is going on. The actual historic roadbed, the original roadbed of Route 66 traverses that particular prairie, and it's still there in pieces, so you can see it. And so at some point, like, we'll be, well, we have the intention of hosting a field day there, but you know, stuff, 2020. So one day we'll get everybody out there, and we'll get everybody to the museum in town.
Yeah, moving on with other projects that we've got. If you go a little bit farther north up Route 66, another great project we have that even ties more into this collaborative nature and education is our Bar Elementary project that is in Chatham, Illinois. This project is at, as you can probably guess, the Ball Elementary School. It was a really cool project that was brought forth to Pheasants Forever. We were asked by U.S. Fish and Wildlife. There was a 10-acre basically lawn that the school had that they were mowing constantly. But the problem was it kept on getting flooded and having standing water in it. So they approached, U.S. Fish and Wildlife approached us about converting that into a wetland / prairie. And we were interested in it right away. You know, great education opportunity for the students because they have Nature Kin Network there, which is a local group of people who do a lot of environmental education with the school district. And then as we started planning, we realized, hey, this is right on Route 66. So it tied into a lot of initiatives and started bringing in a lot of partners for this project. We had U.S. Fish and Wildlife, IDOT. Part of the property is actually belongs to, a little corner of it belongs to IDOT. IDOT helped with a lot of the site prep for that. NRCS, the Soil and Water Conservation, Pheasants Forever, Nature Kin. It was multiple partners coming in together. We received grants to get the project done through Illinois Clean Energy Foundation. And with that, we were able to install about 10 acres of prairie next to the school. And 2 years ago in May, we had the 3 grade schools that make up the Chatham School District come out to Glen, and we had over 294 kids assist us with the planting of it. They got to spread seeds, plant plugs. We had a whole conservation day about it. And those kids are now continuing to go out there through the Nature Kin Network and having continuing education, having a outdoor classroom. They do outdoor classroom activities out there. It is a relatively new site. It unfortunately is not open to the public since the school gets a little leery about strangers coming on, but it's big and you're gonna be able to see it when you go right by the road. There's tons of signages marking it on the Route 66 corridor. So yeah, so that's one of those that if you go a little bit up farther northern, but if you keep on going up north and all the way up towards the Chicago region near Midewin, Veronica can tell us a little bit about their project that they've got going on there. You're on mute, Veronica.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Can everyone see me okay?
Yes.
Okay, well, what a wonderful day for Illinois and for the Route 66 Scenic Byway. I just am so amazed by all the stories that we've been sharing already today. If you love monarchs, you will love visiting Midewin National Tallgrass Prairie, and that's because between June and probably the end of September into October, you will see this beautiful monarch butterfly here is pollinating coreopsis, prairie coreopsis.
Okay, I don't have a picture.
Thanks for letting us know.
Can everyone see the screen?
I can see it,
I think.
but
Yes.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All I
okay.
see is a picture of a butterfly and a flower.
Yep, that's it.
Okay, perfect.
You got it. Okay. This photograph was taken by Ron Kapala, a Midewin National Tallgrass Prairie volunteer. Next slide. And volunteers are very key in what we're doing to create more habitat for monarchs at Midewin National Tallgrass Prairie. Midewin National Tallgrass Prairie is 18,500 acres managed by the USDA Forest Service. Next slide. In Wilmington, Illinois, there are over 30 miles of non-motorized trails, and they're open every day from 4 a.m. to 10 p.m. Next slide. The area that I was just showing in those pictures is the Iron Bridge Trailhead area, and it's a wonderful place to start to look for bison, which we're really excited about seeing if they can help in creating more habitat for monarchs by their natural living patterns. Can they help return native plants that encourage the return of monarchs? Even things like the thistle here in this picture by Tammy Miller, who was a recent participant in our At Ease program for U.S. military veterans, who went out to take photographs of monarchs to try to raise awareness of their plight. Next slide. And this is another photograph by Ron Kapala. And this is a very frequent scene, like I mentioned earlier, at Midewin National Tallgrass Prairie. And this is Prairie Blazing Star, the plant that is being pollinated here. Ron, as I mentioned, is one of many volunteers that are the core and heart of the restoration process and the rejuvenation of habitat for monarch butterflies and more. Our volunteer program is managed in partnership with the USDA Forest Service and the Nature Conservancy. Next slide. This is a photograph also by Ron Kapala from 2018 when we experienced an incredible, unprecedented roosting of monarch butterflies as they began their travels south in September of 2018. And this photograph, I believe, was taken at the Iron Bridge Trailhead, which is just a few steps off of old historic Route 66. Next slide. Another picture by Ron of that same area. And I just want to say thank you so much to this committee and group that organized today and has set the way for future coordination on this. It is so important and so wonderful. Please keep in touch with us. My name here, I'm Veronica Hinke, and this is my email address and phone number, so you can reach out to me at any time with questions. We love to share gardening information with organizations and households on ways to approach rebuilding monarch habitat in your yard or in the gardens at your place of business. And before I close, I just want to say this is a photograph by Michael Curtis, a U.S. Air Force veteran who was one of the instructors along with Ron Kapala in our At Ease program this year. So thank you so much for listening to a few minutes about Midewin National Tallgrass Prairie, and thank you for all you're doing to help bring back the monarch populations.
Yeah, definitely love Midewin. If you've never been there, definitely make the trip up. It's quite, especially if you're in the city, quite a different view. So, so those are some of the projects that we have that are, you know, in the ground. We do have quite a few other ones that are starting to, are in the planning phases or starting to prep to get ready. So these next few projects are a little different. If it's okay, I saw you did Kevin. I'm gonna kind of change that and have Paul talk next because Paul has to hop to a meeting. So the next project we're going to talk about is one that we are looking at planting around spring of 2021. And that is with the Pontiac High School. So Paul Ritter, been working with him on that. So Paul, I'm going to turn that over to you and let you kind of talk about this project and how it came to be with the students and fill in the holes. And you're on mute, Paul.
Perfect. Thank you, Katie. Can't say thank you enough. My name is Paul Ritter. I'm at Pontiac Township High School. I'm the ecology instructor here. My students developed a program called Operation Endangered Species, where they wanted to bring back an extirpated species of reptile to the state of Illinois, the alligator snapping turtle. They wrote grants for over $100,000 to make that happen. And now we've got some 527 or more turtles by working with so many great partners like IDNR and so many. They wanted to continue. And so the idea was, what do we do? And so they reached out and said, hey, we want to put a tall grass prairie in, and we want a pollinator plot in, and we want to find out who we can work with. And so they reached out to Katie and her team at Pheasants Forever and so many more people and Enbridge Corporation and Illinois American Water and so many. And we were able to secure 18.9 acres of pollinator plot. And so what's really cool about this is we have kids in all different classrooms working on this, whether it's their agricultural classes or FFA, their science classes. We have English kids writing stories about it, and history students who are coming up with the Native American tribes that were present in the area. Our building trades classes are right now working on trying to plot out what we're going to put in for a pavilion, and our architectural design courses are designing it. So it really is a team effort of so many students in so many different curriculums. What's exciting is to be able to work with the professionals to make sure we get it right. And so my hat really goes off to Katie and all of the people who have been involved to get us to this point. With that being said, we also have a number of landowners who are private who are wanting to jump in. And so we have landowners such as the Vogels in this area who have decided to put their own stuff in by working with this project as well. Really, it's a great day that you can say that your kids are excited and engaged. I'm really the chief cheerleader. My kids are the ones who make this happen, and it's exciting to know that there are so many people out there like all of you on this Zoom that are dedicated. Because if we don't make those connections for kids and students and people alike, then they'll never be connected to their earth. And I think the monarch butterfly is that gateway species to get you there. And so with that, I just want to say thank you to everybody. I appreciate any advice you can give us, and hang on, because it's getting good.
Yeah, so he pretty much nailed everything on the head. Enbridge is a natural gas right-of-way company that has been providing the land for this project. We also had the Vogels who were a private landowner who allowed us. We did get that planted in the fall. So we do have a roadway plot that we did with them through IDOT. So it's a growing project. It's not a 1 year. There's going to be continuation of this. We look at adding on as we go on through the years. I'm not sure what the end was. It 100 acres, Paul, that we're hoping to get at the end? Yep. So we're hoping to get this up to eventually 100 acres. But it's going good. We're going to get some more in the ground. And thank you, Paul, so much for hopping on. I know you got to hop to another meeting, so I'll let you go and we can turn it over to Kevin and hear about all the great things that are happening not too far from Pontiac, but happening in the Dwight, Illinois area.
Thanks, Katie. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Dwight's between Pontiac and Midewin. So, we're right in the middle. And we're in very early stages, using abandoned Route 66 southbound lane, right of way. So it's currently state right of way. About 2 years ago, maybe 3 already, the state was leasing out. They have a 5-acre parcel that there used to be a overpass over Route 66 in Dwight, and they tore that down maybe 15, 20 years ago and had that 5-acre parcel leased to a farmer. And we're in District 3 out of Ottawa. They called the village a couple of years ago and said, we'd really like to take this farm away from this 5 acres away from this farmer and use this as a test plot for the Monarch butterfly project that the federal government is pushing. In the meantime, they were also working with Tanya and Sarah in Litchfield and Bill Kelly and Jeff Ladd, Casey's predecessors at the Route 66 Byway. And so then they also got involved with DNR down there and said, we really need to be doing something with this Dwight plot. I believe this is the second year that it has not been farmed. IDOT seeded that 5-acre plot. They've also come up with a plan with a walking path, an observation path, a parking area, so people could get off Route 66 and walk through and see the monarchs. And the village would like to build on that. The state just had their ITEP program, which is transportation enhancement, which is for a lot of things, a lot of bike paths, a lot of walking trails. And we have applied for that. And our hope, if that happens, or even if it doesn't happen, would be that along this 2-acre plot around Dwight, where it's abandoned southbound lanes, it's the state currently has not really, they mow like once a year, they've kind of stopped all that, thanks to people like Pheasants Forever and that, who are trying to let the natural habitat grow, let the prairie come back to Illinois. So our plan would be to extend from the state 5-acre parcel a mile in either direction, and along this biking path, or even if the biking path doesn't happen for a few years, along the abandoned lanes of Route 66, we would plant and maintain habitat for the monarchs to be migrating to along Route 66. I think I already said in the spring of this year, IDOT already planted, or they seeded the plot. They have a new, in our district, Andy Starr, a new roadside management specialist, and he was back here in August or September, and they again came like a week later and reseeded the plot again because he didn't think it had taken good enough. So we really got IDOT involved. Hope as this progresses. We have a very active countywide Pheasants Forever group. There's also the U of I extension, which is in Pontiac. Paul Ritter and his group. Paul Ritter, I was happy to see his name on the agenda and hear his little project. He's like the idea, he's the idea man at Pontiac High School. The projects the Pontiac kids have done over the last 10 years. So, we would like the Dwight High School kids to, also become involved in this project. So I guess that's about it. Ours is more of a proposal. The 5-acre plot's already in the early stages. We're meeting informally with people. People like the city of Litchfield has been very helpful, sharing what they've done and what they're doing correctly and what hasn't worked. And so we hope, within the next few years, this takes off and we have monarch butterflies back in Dwight, Illinois.
Thanks, Kevin.
Sure.
I haven't got to see your project, but I've definitely heard about it quite a bit. I think you started working with Jason, and now you're probably working with Ben. But yeah, I've been hearing about that a lot over the last few years. That area, you guys have been putting a lot up around there, so we appreciate it for sure. So if you guys were kind of jumping, we started south, we went up north. We're gonna kind of come down Route 55 a little bit farther. And if you've been driving Route 55 lately and gotten around Bloomington, you might have seen there's been a lot of trees getting ripped out. And I'm gonna let Ross and if Jackie's on there too, I'm gonna let you guys kind of tell what McLean County Soil and Water Conservation District's been working on in your area.
Well, thank you, Katie. Jackie and I work for McLean County Soil and Water Conservation District and work with the landowners and producers here locally on conservation efforts. This project is kind of one of those where you drive by and you just always say, man, I wish we could do something there. And we started those conversations, and it's kind of amazing. Somebody once told me, who's on this call, it's amazing what happens when you take your blinders off. Well, we took our blinders off, and this particular project is going to be an incredible showcase for the central Illinois area. It's 15 acres, roughly a mile stretch of I-55 going westbound. And I'd say that we're in the early stages, but a couple of rock stars from Illinois Department of Transportation have already been kicking butt and taking names. Scott Hall and Billy Burris have been out there with their crews, just really getting this site prepared. Our number one goal for this was to remove a lot of the non-desirables, the cedar, the brome, the invasives ahead of time, and be more focused later on in terms of getting the project implemented. So a lot of time and effort and site prep to make this a successful project. Really want to thank IDOT, Illinois Farm Bill Biologist Program. We have Ben Wilson helping with timelines and resources to be able to put the project down. And then we also have the no-till drills that are going to be implementing the project here really soon. So we're really excited. It's high visibility. It's a perfect location for a pollinator habitat to be established, especially in close proximity to Route 66. And we also have the Constitution Trail, which is really close by as well. And we're hoping for some future opportunities to meet with that group and see what it might come to work out together with that particular initiative. So we're really excited about it. And again, just special thanks to IDOT for getting on this thing. And I think it's going to be a really successful project.
Thanks, Ross. So I'm not sure if you guys are picking up on this, but if you guys, we're going to ask you in a few minutes, we've got one more presenter, but in a few minutes, we're going to ask you to share, additional projects in the chat. But this is something definitely, if you're thinking about this, if you notice, not a single one of these projects is one group going alone. So we're here to help each other out and, reach out and make those connections. And if it's a great project, we're going to do what we can to find a way to get it in the ground. But taking us home for projects that are in the works, I'm going to turn it over to Andre. Andre is up. He's with talking about, engaging the communities and the libraries and the nature networks. And we've had a little bit of discussion about the education portion of this, and that's definitely Andre's forte. So.
Thank you. My name is Andre Copeland, and I manage interpretive programs at Brookfield Zoo. One of the things I also manage is our Communities in Nature program. We firmly believe that libraries are anchors in their communities that address disparities in education as well as other things. And we work with libraries to enhance the programs that they offer their communities by bringing programs in that also have a nature and conservation etiquette. Now, as we move to the next slide, you'll see the programs that we're starting to focus on that are going to carry us through 2024. We're allowing libraries to choose from two different types of programs. The first is Ready, Set, Grow. This will allow people to engage in programming at the library that helps them understand the journey of a seed, helps them contribute to citizen science projects through bio-blitzing, but then will also help them understand how you can garden without limits and how to overcome things such as not having a backyard to garden in. How do I garden a balcony, or I only have a wall in my apartment? Now, if we move to the next slide, you can see the libraries can also choose to go into the pollination station network. Now, what the pollination station network allows is for libraries not to have intensive programming. It allows them to be involved if they simply want to contribute to monarch butterfly conservation. Year one, we work with the libraries to help their patrons understand the journey of a seed. Year two, we work with the libraries to help them establish a garden on grounds. Year three, we invite the community to come in, do a BioBlitz assessment to see how successful that on grounds garden is. Which each one of the programs that we do a workshop that helps the patrons understand the same type of ethic that the libraries are putting into their gardens. They're able to take seed packets home, and our hope is that at least 50% of the people that go home will start to establish gardens within their backyards with the same type of pollinator-friendly ethic. So by the end of 2024, we're hoping to have somewhere between 160 and 240 monarch-friendly pollination stations planted along the Route 66 corridor. The libraries that we currently are working with extend all the way from Berwyn down to Pontiac. Now, some of them haven't heard from us yet, so if you know a library in your community, you might want to warn them that I'm on my way. Now, here's some shots of what can happen with these programs. We worked with Brookfield Library. We had patrons come in, learn how they could use old shoes to start plants. They took these plants that they started, put them on display at the library. These plants were then transferred over to an adult living community where the residents there cared for the plants until the next spring. We all descended upon Bison Prairie at Brookfield Zoo so that they could see their hard work go into a prairie that was pesticide-free, pollinator-friendly, and then we're able to come back to see all the pollinators reap the benefits of those rewards. Now, if we move to the next slide, we can see that a lot of our partners start to replicate this on their own site. At Riverside Library, they worked with an Eagle Scout who donated his time to build a fledgling butterfly garden there, and we helped them interpret what was going on there with that sign. And so now they're looking at revitalizing this garden, bringing it back up with a maintenance plan. And these are the things that we're doing with communities in nature, meeting people where they're at, helping to instill this conservation ethic that will create conservation agents within the libraries and communities we work in. So that's it.
Thanks, Andre. If you could, in the chat, we did have a question. Somebody, if you could share how they can get a library involved, like a link or contact for them, they definitely appreciate that. So that is just some of the projects that are, in various stages of being either the seeds in the ground and it's getting roots established, or we're looking to get them seeds in the ground relatively soon. So we've got a lot of things going on, but we're definitely always looking for more projects. If you have a project that you've done along this corridor, definitely share it with us. We want to, help promote your stories and tell that. If anybody has anything, put it in there. We have been seeing about the Monarch way stations. We've got a cool little mapping feature that we're going to show you guys pretty soon about that.